All right, hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are back to playing Werewolf the Apocalypse tonight. We've got a full crew, and we'll get right back to the Adventures in Cabbage Kaiju thingies. Because I've been kicking myself for a week because I couldn't think of a better word, and just cabbage just came to my head. So now it's a cabbage kaiju. So it's canon now, and it's forever going to be here. So whatever World of Darkness game we play later, there will be a cabbage monster in it because it has to be now. But yeah, we're back. We'll fill in Aaron on what went down with the Stargazers down in Florence, and we'll see what they want to do as we know where Echo Labs folks are going to be soon. So we'll see if we go back and beat them up or something. But before we do that, why don't we go ahead and introduce everybody? Everyone can tell you who they're playing, and we can get started. So Jeremy, tell us about Eustace.
Yeah, I'm playing Eustace Hart, Philodox Hart Warden, pretty even-keeled guy, overall pretty nice, and old apparently for a werewolf. Getting along okay. Gonna go back home and hang out with the Spectre in the bar.
Yep. Yeah. The top three, or I would say Eustace, Selena, Duke, all old. Lou, 30s, I think. And then Jacques is
mid-30s, yep. For a 14-year-old kid, I think that's reasonable.
So when the youth movement overthrows all the boomers in the Sept, Jacques cool. Lou, right on that. Who knows?
I have a kid in the right age. That's got to give me some credits.
Well, so they'll probably be okay with Lucas, but they're going to be like, she got a kid. Oh, God. That could be that. So I don't know.
Terrible children.
It's true. That's actually true. Next up. Melissa, tell us about Selena Bendis.
So Selena is our Theurge of the Children of Gaia. She's been pleasantly surprised by sort of the diplomacy that's been going on of late, and she'll get back to Krenos form at some point.
Quiz for you. Do you know the Children of Gaia's patron spirit?
Unicorn.
All right, well done. Eustace, do you what are you, Hart? Do you know the Hart Wardens, right?
Yeah, it's a stag.
There you go. I saw the change in your coloring on your face as you switched to a different screen. Character sheet.
I was just looking at that page on the sheet, but I'm going to look at it again just because I always doubt myself.
All right, next up, Duke. Evan, tell us about Duke.
I'm playing Duke Dustfang. He is, I don't know if he's the oldest one. Maybe he might be. We're all kind of old. It all blends together, our ages.
He's the oldest acting.
Not we're all. Don't lump us all together.
We're all old. He is the Silver Fang Galliard, the peacekeeper, cartographer, mediator, not the fighter. That is not him. He is just the one that puts the bodies in front of him and tells them to go do it.
Do you know your patron spirit as a Silver Fang?
Falcon.
Hey, look at this. Everyone can read their character sheets. Awesome.
I knew before you asked me.
Because I asked Melissa and everyone else quickly looked.
Yeah, I knew what it was.
Lou, buongiorno. Go ahead and tell us about Lou there, Kipser.
Terrible person.
Riel is a Ragabash glasswalker who is she's got a kid who's about 14 who recently had an incident with some zombies that is not her fault, but she is causing don't okay. I don't sarcastically okay that. She is a detective, paranormal investigator type. Was very fascinated by the Cabbage Patch child that Jeff put out, but did not want to actually get close to it.
Well, I think we're going back, so you still have a chance. Don't worry about that. Hey, quiz for you. Do you know who the Gate Stalker's patron spirit is, Lou?
The Gate Stalkers?
Yeah. Different.
Well, it's just because I interact with the spiders all the time.
That one's too easy. It was too easy. I knew
Gate Walkers. Jeez.
Gate Stalkers. They're called the North Wind. While Kipser looks that up. She's supposed to be tech savvy. That's not. Google Foo was pretty. Unimpressive. And then finally, Aaron, tell us about Jacques.
Jacques Whiteclaw was born a wolf in the hills of West Virginia, a red Talon under the full moon, the warrior's moon. He is a stern and firm believer in Gaia's law, the protection of the Green Mother, the death of the virus of humanity if it's required, and the destruction of the weaver and the worm.
Very nice. Very nice. Do we want to... I figured you would know the answer. So do we want to say that Jacques was with the group and like just in the background, or do we want to say Jacques was doing something else? I don't think we actually firmly made a decision one way or the other.
If he wasn't around in the episode, I think he was probably off on his own. He's been so inundated with humanity lately. I think he probably spent a couple, as much time away just as a wolf as he could manage.
Fair enough. Okay, so we'll say then, because we'll pick up with, because they were coming back to the Karen. They were coming back, so I think we'll be able to pick up there. All right, so quick summary. Last session, you all decided to head to one of the coordinates that you had discovered in that salvage Echo Labs data. A few days earlier, Adora had already sent a different pack within your set, led by Bodhi Darkpaw, to investigate, but they never returned. And the coordinates themselves were only about 90 minutes from your SEP, so it is kind of odd that in several days they didn't come back, and there hasn't really been much communication. Hector Sunrunner, one of your newest Geru, he was sent a little while later to see if he can locate them. He also disappeared. So you all eventually headed down there towards near Florence, Arizona. It's again about an hour and a half to the south. So when you arrived, you discovered Whispering Sands. It's a housing development you had already looked up before. It was in the middle of nowhere. It was down this blockaded road. You all stepped into the Umbra. You kind of hid your stuff. You hid your car, etc. You stepped into the Umbra, and you found that there was this massive gargantuan spirit, very hungry, that was essentially taking up the entirety of that housing development. And just as you were about to go inside and push the membrane after Eustace tried to kind of feed it, you were stopped by what ultimately became a stargazer named Lucretia Nightburn, who warned you that doing that was essentially a death sentence. She brought you to a nearby camp. You guys came back out into the physical world, and there you met a pair of other members of her pack, Cannon Red Fever and Tycho Brightstar. And they explained how Darkpaw's pack didn't heed their warnings about this giant spirit in the housing development, basically being a pitcher plant in some ways. And Bodhi kind of dismissed them for being stargazers and even forced one of their pack, a man by the name of Orin Moonshadow, to essentially lead them inside. And so all of them were trapped inside that giant spirit, slowly being digested. She also gave you some background on themselves. They were essentially tenders and shepherds of this spirit, and they would lead this gigantic thing all around this circuit in the Southwest, kind of feeding on these places where humans kind of push their development too far and kind of threatening Gaia in some particular way. So right now it's in a phase of digestion, and then eventually the development will be gone, and that's when they'll lift that spirit up and they'll kind of shepherd it somewhere else. Now, they were basically of the belief that your people, their own missing member, some of these Echo Lab scientists apparently that had come to kind of poke and prod, they were probably inside Irretrievable. Hector, as we've already mentioned, was alive. They had just subdued him with some sleep dust, but they did freely give him back to you despite his protestations. And Lucretia also told you all that most nights groups from Echo Labs would show up. So they would come in on these helicopters and they would drop and they would kind of poke and prod the spirit. And she believes that they're effectively trying to capture it or subdue it in some particular way. And she ranted about how humans are already kind of ruining the physical world and now they're trying to ruin the spirit world as well. And so you all said you're going to take Hector back. You're going to inform Adora about what was going on. And then you guys talked about coming back perhaps to maybe confront some of those Echo Labs folks. So that's essentially the last session. So we'll pick up then with you all back at Gaia's Grove. You've got a brooding and petulant Hector who has been with you this whole time, who the whole ride back has been questioning your commitment.
We knocked him out. Thank you very much. He was
doing it in his dreams. He was doing that.
Just sleep talking a little bit here and
He
there.
was just every now and then you just hear him, boomers, cowards, boomers, over and over and over again. You've got Adora, Lucas and Riley are still resting. We'll say Jacques has returned. All of you are together. It's sunset, so it's like evening time, so the sun's still kind of going down a bit. Night is relatively soon. But I'll turn it over to you all. And what is your plan of action as everyone has now arrived at the sept?
Okay, Duke, you really do have to sit these children down, and like, especially this one in the back that we knocked out, you need to like get control over this gossip. It's your responsibility.
Okay. Well, let's maybe. Are we leaving tonight though? Right, to go
Yeah.
hunt.
Well, we need to pick up
Yeah.
Jacques and update him on
Right.
the situation.
Well, maybe tomorrow we can have a young wolf meet Cairn powwow for those that need to understand the Umbra and have an educational supernatural class.
Well, if the cabbage is still there, just showing that should make them piss their pants a little bit.
Well, do we want to bring all of them to the cabbage?
Yes.
But then we have to bring them all into the Umbra.
Yes.
That's a lot of rolls.
Well,
That's a
not
lot
all
of
of us need to go in.
people.
Just the kids quickly take a peek and then come back out again.
They can't just look at our happy water spirit?
I don't think it is up and up with the riz of the children.
The what?
Don't
What?
worry about it.
What are you trying to do? What?
It's something Lucas said the other day. I thought I would try to weave it in there.
Riz?
Just because he says it doesn't mean that you should say it.
No,
He
no.
told me just because he
I
didn't want to
told him.
explain. It's charisma.
Oh, okay. So I have a
Yeah.
lot of Riz then.
Yes. You should
it
go
sounds
brag to
even
those
better when
young-
you say it, Duke.
Go brag to the new folks about how much raise you got. I think that
I'll
will
make sure to lead with that when we start the class.
In fact, I'm gonna go get a burger and just sit and watch you talk about your riz.
Should go well.
Lou, it's the fastest way to get Lucas to stop doing it is you just take it up and you say it all the time, and then
Oh
he
yeah,
just won't
yeah.
say
He hates
anymore.
it when I do this. Yes, it's true.
Mystery solved.
What time is it, I guess?
Sunset evening, so the sun's still up. It's going down. the
Okay, so it's
west,
getting
et cetera.
close to like us going back
Yeah.
out. Okay.
And again, you guys are only about an hour and a half away, so it's like basically an hour and a half drive. It's not that far.
Yes, mostly we just wanted to drop Hector off before he woke up again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we'll give Adora. Oh, he's a.
Duke, this is yours responsibility now.
He starts waking up. Oh, I had the worst dream. I dreamt that my entire sept community was filled with a bunch of elderly cow. Oh, it wasn't a dream. As he wipes the
I'll
sleep from his face.
Jacques
Start
yips in humor.
bringing him to Adora
Mm-hmm.
and kind of escorting him.
Okay. You'll find a door in the church. She has been keeping an eye on Lucas and Riley. She'll step out from their resting room and she'll. What have you learned? What have you heard? Where is? I see you have Hector. That is good news. What about Bodhi?
So the good news is there is Hector. The bad news is apparently where this Echo Lab is located, there is we saw it. There's a massive cabbage spirit that is, it sounds less scary than it looks, but
I see.
people are getting stuck in there. And apparently there were stargazers that warned Bodhi in the pack, and they went in there, and now they're stuck and can't get out and are being eaten.
Can they be retrieved?
From what we've heard, no. And once you get in there, you lose even the Echo Lab, who are those people called again? I don't know. The bad guys. Those guys are getting. Oh, you guys are here. Okay, cool.
Right behind you.
Those people are also getting stuck inside. So it sounds like it is the Stargazer is saying this is just like a place to feed for this creature, and whatever gets in there doesn't come out.
I see. And you have only the Stargazer's word to go on.
They're the only ones there.
Well, trust your judgment, of course, but Stargazers are notoriously fickle. It is not that they are good or evil, but they have a peculiar way about them, and they become entrenched in that way. Have you made any attempts to retrieve them, or to even confirm that Darkpaw
tried to
the
go
others
in,
inside?
but I don't even know how she really found us, but someone appeared and warned us to not go
Well,
in.
I was trying to do the right to let it feed on a different source and hopefully distract it so you could go through the membrane. And I think that probably drew some attention because it wasn't exactly like a thing you can do subtly.
And so when you attempted to perform something that might allow you to independently gain information, independently perhaps seek for your septmates, you were intercepted by a Stargazer who provided you a very convenient story to send you away from the area.
I mean, it wasn't really convenient. The creature is like skyscrapers big.
I hear what you're saying. Like we did spend a good bit of time talking with them, trying to get a feel for them. And I understand you can only assess somebody so much. I wouldn't say there's not some truth in saying maybe kind of a trust but verify thing. Like maybe now that we're not in their face, we're not going to like, just directly conflict with them. Maybe we can do a little bit of our own research now that we have more information. I don't think that's
Yes.
unreasonable.
Well, spirits can get quite large. As you know, Eustace, the Umbra is filled with many spirits of a vast array of intelligence and power, with designs that are far beyond our capabilities of understanding. These Stargazers presume to know the motivations of this spirit, which, again, as you know, Eustace, is a very dangerous assumption to make.
I think the first thing I would hope to look into, now that we can kind of step away, not immediately get into a fight with some people that are holding an unconscious member of our pack who likely would be at their mercy should we have started a fight. But now that we have him safe, we have a moment to do some of our own research. One thing I think might not be a bad thing to look into, a spirit of that nature, could we maybe look into basically, is it physically digesting them, or because it's over in the spiritual world, is it more feeding upon their willpower? Because if that's the case,
physically see their bodies?
No. So, but the thing is, we do transport our bodies physically into that realm. Now, if it's physically eating upon them in that realm, shit, I don't know what to do. But if it's just drawing sustenance from their will, kind of like the way we usually lose a little bit of ourselves when we go in there, if that's the case, I feel like I've got a decent chance of at least going in and doing some reconnaissance, because I can hold out for a little bit longer than some in that regard. And I'd be willing to if we think that's what it is. But I'd really like to at least try and research that before I volunteer to just go plunging into the belly of the thing.
I see.
Right.
It's very
And we
prudent.
have to also mention that one of their pack members got dragged in apparently by our pack. We don't know. But if that's true, then the Stargazers would absolutely hate us and probably kill Hector. So the fact that they didn't kill Hector and kept him alive is a little bit trustworthy, considering the fact that they took what was presumed to be their leader, they said, of many, many years.
Well, the fact that they did not harm Hector, I suppose, is a positive sign. But
If
Yes,
Yes.
and another thing that is important to know is that the TGG company that we have been researching has been sending the people into the area, and apparently every night some of them get eaten. So we are going to go back and observe what that is, maybe while Eustace takes a look around in the Umber.
Well, if what you say about the strength of the spirit is true, and what you observed at the previous lab's location, it's not surprising then that they would be interested in this creature. We have a duty to protect it, do we not?
Yes, it's did we tell you about Sasha Bennett and any of the information along that we found out?
We'll assume that you got it when you were last here, so we'll
Okay,
assume that
cool.
she is up to speed.
Dialogue. Sorry.
Oh, God.
The reading rooms.
I was just thinking how much I would love to see a little rainbow thing go over the screen when you do that.
Sorry, I'm going to sit quietly in the corner for a bit until I get a hold of my voice again.
Yes. Perhaps that is wise. As I was saying, perhaps these stargazers told you true. Perhaps they have not lied. But Eustace, myself, we know as many and much about the spirit world as anyone within our sept, and we know only a fraction of an understanding of what goes on there. So, just because they said something, they could say it in earnest, but it does not mean that they are fully knowledgeable. For a Geralt to be fully knowledgeable of any spirit is very unlikely. And presumptuous. One might even say arrogant.
It did seem that they were generally telling us what they believed. I didn't get the sense that they told us everything, but then again, I don't know that we tell everyone anything the very first time we meet them. But they seemed that they earnestly believed the things that they were telling us.
Well, as I said, I trust your judgment. If you think these stargazers are in fact true, if you think they are friendly, if they can be allies of our community, then I am happy to welcome them. But I would hope that we would extend every available step to recover our people, our wolves, just as they would extend to you.
Well, if what you say is true or false, you could be losing 10 wolves tonight.
Or we could be recovering those we have already presumed to be lost. I am not in charge. This is not the way of our community. It is for you to decide, not for me.
We knew we were going to go back, so perhaps we take the long way in the other direction and not through the Umbra and see what.
Yeah, we could try to watch the humans and see, maybe use them as guinea pigs to see what happens if they try to enter, see if we do see any exit.
Well, as I said, I trust in your judgment. And so she'll sort of bow out of the room at that point, return to where she's been, kind of keeping an eye on Lou's son and partner. Yeah, time is yours, guys. So I was, again, that conversation, half an hour maybe. So it's probably just the last slivers of daylight.
Is the moon risen? Can I howl at it?
You know what? The moon has risen. I actually just rolled a tape. The moon has risen.
Yes, excellent.
There you
Lou,
go.
Lou would like to howl at the moon, please. And get a
We'll
rage
say,
dice
we'll
back.
say it's
I feel like
full moon.
Lou's just looking out the window, looking out the window, looking at the window.
Is it
See it? Do I
is it
see
coming
it?
yet?
Goes to the howl, then you realize it's just a reflection of
Oh, no,
someone
it's
putting a
just-
light on behind you in the window. Ah, dang it. So awkward. and
Eustace,
embarrassing.
turns that back off. I can't see in the window anymore.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah, if you want to do your howling at the moon tonight, go right ahead. And yeah, you guys just tell me what's your plan.
Well, what do we want to do? I mean, we can stake out, we can watch them, see what happens. I mean, this is a huge gamble if we're wrong.
Jacques wasn't there, obviously, but he is all for watching the humans and hopefully watching them die as they slip into the Umbra. So
I think yes. Well,
a little
I think
recon.
We do
Yeah,
need to
I agree. A
recon.
little bit of observation is appropriate.
And if they are assaulting the spirit or trying to capture it, then we kill them.
I
Or if
think
we
we
do see
need,
signs that there is a way to enter.
right, and maybe
I-
we need to try the physical world,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we don't
Yeah,
think, at
yeah.
least at this moment, we don't think this organization knows how to enter the Umbra. We know they're aware of spirits and supernatural, but if they're getting caught, right, and if we're on the physical side, perhaps you can still see them. Perhaps they're just like, in a state of a coma or paralysis or something. So maybe, since we never even investigated this place to begin with, we try visually from the physical world to see what happens, and then maybe that gives us more information.
I'm in support of this plan. They made good arguments about what they were doing and why they were doing it, but it does feel awkward to just take outsiders' word and not make another run at finding our.
And they may believe what
Mm.
they're saying, but that doesn't mean it's correct.
That's the thing.
Right.
They're shepherding something that is massively greater than themselves. There's only so much they can really know.
Well,
They could,
also,
they could teach us how to shepherd it, and we could move it into Phoenix and solve some problems.
Put it right on top of that old fuck.
I mean,
Oh my
Scottsdale,
God.
maybe. Put it on Scottsdale.
It's got-
is
Well,
this-
yeah, I mean, I think what I was thinking was are spirits of that size like even shepherdable? Like, is their cause just like in their mind, right? If you can tame something that big, like maybe it just moves on its own accord when it is full and they just follow it, versus them being like, oh, we guide it to the next location.
The reason I would think that they maybe use like a stick with some string and some bait on it or something to move it along, sure. But the reason that I would think that is because why wouldn't the spirit who consumes the living forces not go into a city where there is so many more people?
Maybe that would ruin the natural balance of things.
Oh no.
I mean,
It's
maybe
a
it doesn't
question.
need to eat that much.
We-
we don't need to go into a store and eat all of the food in it. We just need enough to keep ourselves
And
sated.
the spirit is the spirit of the wild, and the Weaver holds the cities. Perhaps it can't breach the Weaver's territories until we destroy them ourselves.
I just had to add that
But-
last part in.
Going to leave the
If-
spiders alone.
If we take our packmate at his word,
He was insistent.
everyone that
but-
came in was being drugged so that they could be fed to the spirit.
But that wouldn't make sense why the leader got caught or is in there.
Anything Hector says doesn't seem like a good idea to believe.
We'll let
I-
us
for
simply
the
go
sa-
and
for the
find
sake
out
of
for
arguments.
ourselves
Yeah.
then.
I will say
We can
I,
assume.
I want to do some reconnaissance, but I will say I would at least personally like to try and make an effort to look. If we can't find something in the physical world, I can sustain myself a little bit longer than some others in the spirit world. I propose we don't send the whole lot of us in. Don't throw good money at bad, so to speak. But I want somebody to make an effort for me, which means I should make an effort for somebody else.
Then let's go. We waste the night.
Okay.
Like to attempt to heal before we go. A rage heal.
Oh yeah. Any kind of any other prep things that you guys want to do now before you head back? Just call it out and make your rolls. If that's what you're just doing your regen, Selena. Is that what you're trying to do?
Attempting to, because I tried last session and failed. So
okay. So you just sort of like shift over in the Glabro or Hispo or something.
Yeah. So got to do a rage check to get in, and then one rage check to heal.
Okay. Was anyone else doing any kind of preparation or anything like that? Any healing or anything like that?
I already rolled mine.
Jacques is
so.
good.
I only have one dice. Lou would quickly pop in and check on Lucas, just make sure that they're both okay. Riley and Lucas are all right, and then head back.
Wow, look at
Lucas
her trying to be a
definitely
good mom.
is improving. He looks fine. He's probably got some kind of, I don't know, does he have like a switch or something? Maybe, I don't know. He's sort of playing around on. You see that when you pop in, like Adora is literally like changing some of Riley's bandages, and as you see her pull back the bandage on the shoulder, you can just see that like it's not just bone and tissue, but you see this sort of almost liquefied like rivulets of silver that seem to be coursing throughout the shoulder, which would be probably even worse for you. It's not good for him, but but you can tell that he likely was hit probably by a similar bullet that you all were hit by, except he doesn't have the benefits of werewolf regeneration and supernatural powers and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe while we're here, if we can gather some small totems or items of importance to the pack members that are missing, A, just for the sake it might have their scent, or B, while we're in their spirit world, if we can find things that were of importance to them, because spirit world kind of sometimes has that fuzzy logic. Maybe if we have something that's of importance that might have like a little bit of their personality tied to it, that might help us go in a direction. I'll try and scrounge for something like that.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So Bodhi's pack, he's got. Let me get my full list of names up again. So Bodhi runs it. Like he's sort of like the de facto leader. Bunker, Tyler, Rosie, those are the others. And with Bodhi, you probably get like, you know that he's a he's like a California kid. And so you probably find what looks like a necklace of some kind. It's got like a little shark tooth kind of deal. Nice. With Bunker, you know that Bunker is ex-military. So you kind of find the equivalent of, you know, he's got some sort of small like hunting knife he has that he probably carried with him for a while. Tyler Moonsong, she is very much a singer. Like she very much is a performer. So you can probably find something like relevant to like maybe like a vinyl album or something like that of note. And then Rosie, you know, was one of the better hunters. She's not necessarily the strongest, but she's crafty hunter, tracker, that kind of type. And so you know that she carries quite a bit of like furs of other animals that she keeps like on honorifics. And one of them that she carries is this sort of like red fox pelt from when she was very young. It was like her first kill. And so all of those you can gather up.
Okay, perfect. I'll get a small pack or something to be able to carry that. And
excellent. Okay.
Hope for the best.
Okay. Anybody else? All right then.
Sorry, just one. Then, if there isn't, just quickly to Titan. Also, I did want to tell him. There is one of our wolves is back called Hector. We had to knock him out a little bit. He's a rambunctious pup. But if you could make friends with him, we're going. He's not good at reconnaissance. He's not good at being smart about people. So we're going to leave him here, and we're heading back to. So there's this evil cabbage in the Umbra with the tentacles.
Sorry, are you using the right word there? Is this a language issue?
Like they come very more. It's very big. It's like it looks like this, and there's lots of little bits and tentacles are coming out like that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Yes.
it's about the size of like several story building, maybe 3-story building.
Right. So you want us to befriend this Hector? Is that what it is? Bring him into the
Yes, just
pack.
make sure he doesn't do anything reckless. He tends to be loose cannon.
I see. You can count on me. I will bring him in to our group. We shall share stories.
Thank you, Titan. Is appreciated.
He's
Maybe
actually,
tell him about the Umbra.
He's actually very he's actually very excited in some ways that you're actually using his real name for once, and he feels perhaps that you have finally accepted him.
I've been really tempted to call him Titus the entire conversation.
He's such a good guy.
I actually
Just
got
wants to
confused
make his
about
dad
which was his real name.
Is that right? Hang on.
I was very tempted.
No, it's definitely Titan. I know this. It's Titan.
It is Titan. It is Titan. I do know
Let's
this.
try. Okay. All right. So with that, you all get back in your vehicles, or you make your shifts, whatever it is that you want to do, and you venture back. Travel. So you make it back towards we'll probably put it around 9 o'clock or so in the night. By the time you return, you remember. So this is partially for Aram, is just sort of refreshing everyone's memory. The coordinates, Whispering Sands, they all same place, and there was sort of a highway, an interstate highway, very kind of lonesome, sort of two lane highway kind of deal, but large gap between any kind of population. So the closest being Florence, which is like a 20,000 people kind of city, but that's still a ways away. And there was a turnoff that was blockaded from that highway. And you all had found some kind of rocky outcrop somewhere off in the desert to pull your vehicles behind, and that's where you had hid them. When you return, dark highway. There's no lights. It's very, very dark. But I will say that one thing you do notice, and this is in the physical world, no roll necessary, you see lights. It's almost like when you're driving around a neighborhood and you see like a baseball field's lights on at like a little league, at a little league field from in the distance. It kind of has that feel. It's probably not quite that much, but you definitely have that feel, and it's exactly in the direction where you just were. You look at, for those of you with good eyesight, you look on the mountain ridge where the camp was for the stargazers. You don't see any like campfire brewing. Everything seems to be dark up there, but you do notice those bright white lights. It's not natural. And you don't recall seeing streetlights. Like there weren't any streetlights within the neighborhood themselves. So that is what you see when you kind of return to the same area that you were before. So how do you want to handle the approach?
Well, seems like they're here.
Should we leave the vehicle and go in wolf form?
I guess. I
think
don't know
so.
how we're going to sneak in, though. I mean, that place is lit up pretty big.
Well, there's a few things I can try to do, and I can at least make it so that they can't record us with any devices while we're in there. It might be good. Yes, let me set this up. I'm going to cast Rite of the Forgotten Record and put it up so that any devices that they have recording might not get our image at least.
Okay. Wisdom investigation roll. Sounds good. And you are incorporating everybody, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then you should be taking 4 rage dice into the cast. So whenever you bring other people into that, like that's just like the penalty basically for it to go potentially wrong. So add 4 rage die to your casting. Is it right to presume that you guys are going to hide your vehicle again if you took one, same place, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I did such a good job the first time. I'm sure this will be good.
You couldn't even find it last time, so you just stole a different one and you drove back.
Like, where did we park that damn thing?
Did we even have a vehicle? Okay, so go ahead and make that roll.
How do I switch the dice to rage dice? Sorry, I'm just using.
You can just roll 4 d10s app. Just roll it like normal, and then just roll 4 separate d10s, and we'll know that those are the rage die. And then roll like 4 more separate d10. That's fine.
There we go.
Okay, so you've got 3 more successes, and you did get a single 1, so it will be 1 brutal outcome.
Okay.
As you do have 2 successes. So when it comes to brutal outcomes, each brutal outcome on the rage, hang on, I think causes.
So it's a brutal success because there's just one of them. 2 of them, 2 of a 1 or 2 gets you a brutal outcome.
Right. She has one from the initial roll. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. That is a success. What am I talking about? Yeah, you're right. Yep. Sorry. Yeah, you only
do
have
not have
You're
the
good.
teeth on the dice.
So yeah, that's a total of 6 successes. And then that I'll note for later because that's like basically their difficulty to be able to record you for later. All right.
Fair enough.
Okay. So with that, done with the vehicle stashed with the lights on in the distance, what do you guys do?
I guess scope out for a little bit at least to see kind of like what they're doing, where they're going, what equipment they might be using, stuff like that, just to get an idea since we are pseudo familiar with them now.
Okay. So why don't we do it this way? Why don't we say like, let's split it up maybe 2 groups and you guys just each do like one group goes one way, one group goes the other, and you kind of get what you see. And so we'll just sort of do like maybe top row and bottom row. So if somebody on the top row, so if like Eustace, if you want to give us a roll and then take a bonus from Selena, and then if like Jacques, you want to do a roll and take bonus from Lou and Duke, and we'll kind of see what y'all see. Awareness obviously is the skill. Wits would probably make the most sense here. But if there's something else,
when I do that.
5.
There's something else you have in mind.
Yeah, we're exactly the same on that.
Okay.
Man,
All right.
I did
I'll
terrible.
give you
I
a
will.
bonus.
I'll spend a willpower to reroll.
Reroll those. Okay.
At least reroll this one.
Sounds good.
Jacques, you have so much rage inside you.
I do. I'm very rageful. Yeah. So that didn't work out too well. It's a
I
brutal
lost
it did
success.
not.
I healed earlier.
Okay.
2 successes and a brutal
Okay. We'll start with the top
He's
row.
an angry
as-
wolf.
Yeah, as the top row, you got 3 successes, I think, Selena, as you and Eustace. Maybe you all head east, the other 2 head west, or the 3 head west. As you start tracking around, what you 2 notice very immediately is that there are people here, and I would say everyone notices this. There are what looks like several temporary floodlights that have been set up relatively equidistant around this development. And all of it seems to just kind of be casting light both in and out. Now, the development itself is still very, very dark with the exception of the like kind of the exterior, the perimeter of it. There's like, you still don't see any electricity on. You don't see anything like that. So you really just have this like rim of light where you can see the outermost homes and what looks like space that they've mapped out for building a wall. The other thing, Eustace and Selena, you notice is that there seems to be kind of a temporary sort of setup for like a base, like where it's just sort of looks like tents have been set up, and there's a few that are mixed together here and there. They have what looks like plenty of equipment, like tech out. You can see some people are in some sort of almost like hazmat suits. And you notice that there is a big digital clock that right now says 57 minutes and is counting down. And I would say the other thing you notice, one last thing you would notice since you got 3 successes, is that you see there's these long cords or tethers that many of the people in one of these little base camps seems to be tending to. A few of them are just kind of kind of holding it or watching it, and they are strung like into the development itself. Like it disappears into darkness eventually, but you can see that they're keeping an eye on it. It has almost like the feel of like an old school, like an old fashioned like deep diver type of deal where they had like breathing tubes like into the suit itself. The other three, you all start sweeping around the other side. You find that there are three helicopters, very large, not unlike the one that you found actually when you were when you were kind of heading up towards the previous Ecolab site. Very kind of has the same sort of look to it, probably carries somewhere between like 10, 12 or so people. And you can see them all systematically sort of separated here by a decent amount on a flat surface. Much like the top row, lights everywhere, people everywhere. I would say you guys would probably estimate maybe 3 dozen. You do see that there are kind of two kinds of people. There are people who have very big guns, and then there are people who don't. And the people who have very big guns are both like right on the edge or the cusp of the neighborhood where some of the camp and some of the lights are set up, and others are doing patrols. And it's one of these patrols, these like sets, there's like this sort of pair that is sort of sweeping around, that I'm going to say is what's going to trigger that brutal outcome. So as Jacques, what form are you in, Jacques?
Oh, just wolf.
Okay.
Lucas.
So as you are moving, I'm assuming the three of you are moving relatively stealthily as by, just staying into the darkness, no rolls necessary. But maybe just the rage takes over. You just sniff, you smell them, you see all of them here. You hear the story about this spirit, and they're clearly doing something. They shouldn't be here. And maybe just instinctively a growl erupts. And that's when they're alerted. And you can hear like you're like, hey, what the? And they hold up their guns, they got a light on it, and your eyes reflect. And they're like, oh, target practice, and then you start firing essentially at that point. So Lou, give me, and then you're at a distance, we'll say, like you can charge in if you want, but we'll say just right now, give me a dodge roll. So go ahead and roll like, we'll make this like Dex and probably just athletics, I think, as they're going to try to,
balance in this group, the like hyper combat person and the two not particularly combat people in one group.
We're ready to rumble.
And they're shooting at me? All right.
No, they're just going to shoot at Jacques. I'm going to say Jacques because Jacques the one who made the roll, so that's who they're going to shoot at. So they're just going to fire. So go ahead and make your roll. I'm going to do my roll. I have these guys plugged in. We'll kind of go from there.
Jesus, I'm doing terrible tonight.
Any willpower? Okay, they do clip you. They do clip you, actually. So as the ground in front of you starts to erupt with like dust and dirt, and you start to dart away or dart side to side, you feel one of them catches you kind of in the hind. It's going to be. It's not silver, which is the good news. It's going it's not going to do anything that you probably won't be able to take care of, but it is going to do. Where the hell did it go? 5 points of superficial damage.
Holy shit!
Yeah, because it's.
All right, you guys know Jacques. He immediately shifts into Hispo and charges.
Okay. So you shift into Hispo, you charge. The gunfire you can hear it everywhere. Other than this strange hum of various machinery, Eustace and Selena, like it is a very quiet area. And so when gunfire suddenly erupts, it's very noticeable, not just to you all, but to everybody else. You can see people kind of shouting left and right, etc. And so you're going to shift in. Lou and Duke, what do you both do? As you're nearby as well.
I'm also in lupus form right now. If Jacques is drawing attention, I'm going to look at the helicopters and see if they've left the keys in the ignition, if I can steal that.
Sure. Okay.
Or any computers or anything like that that I can grab for information, any of the devices lying around. I'm gonna loot them. I'm gonna loot all their stuff.
Are you looking to sabotage them, like they can't take off, or are you looking to just sort of recover any sort of devices that they might have left inside?
For now, I'm going to try to first off take their keys so they cannot fly and shoot down at us.
Okay. I don't think a roll is necessary. We'll just take half. I think your tech is high enough that you can just get a free roll. Probably not so much keys as you just do some kind of, you just mess around with various control panels.
I really don't want to destroy the machines, though.
I don't think it's like you just hit it like with a sledgehammer. I think you're smart enough to go in there and like what to sort of unhook, unhinge.
I'm really trying to avoid one of my bans right now by stealing keys.
All right.
But yeah,
so you just go in there and you start destroying computers and equipment and all. Okay. And then Duke, what are you up to?
So Duke is in whatever the wolf normal doggy form is.
Lupus.
And he is going to attempt to do I don't know what we would call this, like a ask for aid howl for the stargazers to try and persuade them to come help.
Okay.
We set up a secret call last time we were here.
Yeah, it's like a secret handshake, but with howling.
Okay, let's make this an etiquette roll, maybe.
Sure, I got etiquette. That's fine.
Etiquette, charisma, just
okay,
something like that, and maybe it'll be the type of howl that is recognizable as a Geru in need.
All right, and then I get +1, +2.
It's just short.
Right. That's what I was like.
Just this weird Geru SOS. Oh, God.
Well, 3 successes and...
So what I'm going to say is that the brutal outcome in this case, I don't think is going to necessarily affect them. It's not going to be like you're howling, fuck you. It's not, that doesn't really make sense. But I will say is like maybe what you do is like the brutal outcome is probably just because you're howling so loudly. It's just you're going to effectively give away your position really easily. And so one of these guys that just shot at Jacques will suddenly turn their gun over in the opposite direction, and they kind of lock eyes at you at this point, and they see it's not their turn, but we'll say that's what it is. Okay, so Jacques, you're charging in your Hispo form. Lou, you ran to do something with the helicopters, and Duke, you've called out. Eustace and Selena, you hear the sounds of gunfire. You hear the sounds of a wolf howl. I'll say that from your position, you definitely see there's a little bit of concern with some of the folks in this little base camp, but many of them aren't leaving. But you do see two people with guns, two these kind of gun-toting security folk, mercs, Lockram. You see them start kind of trotting over in the direction of where the gunfire was, and they're kind of radioing down, trying to get updates on what's happening. So what would the two of you do in this situation?
Okay, here's what I'm sussing out. A, these folks do their research. They got reasons to think somebody can probably be in there for, says 57 minutes. I'm going to guess that was rounded out to an hour, possibly more. Let's say they were really shitty guessers and it's less than that time. But there seems to be a good chance they would have researched somebody can be in there for a period of time. 2, there is currently a lifeline to lead somebody who goes in there back out. And so we have a small window for an idiot to just go running in there right now before everything goes sideways.
Yeah.
So
are you that idiot?
I'm volunteering to be that idiot. You know?
Oh, no, I thought you were going to be like, and good thing we have Melissa here, because as everyone knows. All right, so use this. What does it look like? Like, are you in a particular form? Are you trying to stealth in? Are you just trying to go speed? Like, what is the strategy?
Do you have anything in mind? Do you think you could do to even just briefly distract them well, I just probably like, was it Glabra was probably better for stealth because that lets you move quicker, get +2 to physical. You're bad at communicating, but you get +2 to physical. So it's probably my best bet.
Lupus also gives you +2 to stealth,
but you get a -2 to stealth.
Is it a -2? I thought it was +2.
Yeah,
+2 dice to survival stealth.
I thought the big wolf gives you a -.
That's the big
stealth.
wolf. That's Hispo. I said
Hispo's
lupus.
minus.
Hispo is
Hispo's
+2 to
stealth.
non-stealth physical. I said lupus.
Yep.
Lupus is +2 to. That's what I meant to say anyway. That's
Okay.
+2 to stealth.
But yeah, I'd probably do that. Try and stealth in. If you can think of anything that might give me just a brief distraction, because this seems like a good chance to hop in there. We've got a lifeline to lead us back if we can find them.
Sorry, I was just reading over which gives nothing gives you a +2 to stealth. Everything's
Yes,
a -2.
lupus gives
Or
you
no.
Lupus
situationally.
is
Situationally, will give you a +2 to survival
Okay.
and stealth.
I can do hair's leap just to jump up in the air a whole lot and just grab attention.
I mean, yeah, you just do the ET moment, man. Leaping with the moonlight.
They're like, what is that jumping around?
Yeah,
There's just
because
a
you know
dog.
I'm all
Boing.
for us planning things and trying to get everything set.
Just like stationary jumping.
all things in
Oh, I mean,
moderation.
the amount of time, Melissa, that you have just tried to fit the extra jump into a situation.
It's
If I
all
have
I have
hair's
that makes
leap-
me special. It's literally the only thing that I have.
Oh, and you smoke
'Cause-
weed. That's special.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
you're the only one that does
Yeah,
that.
because
I
like
prefer
I have wind
tobacco.
whistle, but it's more for like finding your way back out of the Umbra, and we haven't needed it. And then I've got healing stuff. So
Your solution might not be on your character sheet. It could just be in your imagination. As like
I
there are
know all
many
of my
lights
solutions are on my character
around
sheet.
here that are up, like these stationary lights that are up here. There's tents that are up here.
Could hair's leap
Uh,
knock one over?
There's you can hair's leap, knock
There's
one
a big
over. something
counting
like that.
down
There we go.
clock that might
It's a-
need it
it's a-
destroyed.
It's a yes.
No, we need
and.
the clock. That's useful.
Hair's leap is a roll, so there is
Okay.
always a risk of that. But I'll
A
give
brutal hair's leap.
All right, we'll start then
Or I lose
with
the rage.
Selena, and then depending on how Selena does, we'll give a varied boost to Eustace trying to dart in there without getting shot
Make sure you drink
several
Eustace.
times.
Oh yeah,
Listen.
Oh,
At least it's not silver, guy.
if I lose the rage, I'm getting so mad.
It was silver.
Jumps up and
Join me, Melissa. Join me.
Face
should definitely
plants.
drink up
Human
before
for
we
the
go.
whole
That's a
fight.
good point.
I'm just picturing Selena in lupus form, just
You
bouncing
could be
vertically up and down.
lupus. You don't have to be human.
Just constant.
Oh no!
Freaking
No, Selena.
darn
Come,
it.
come near Duke and you get it back.
Oh, I
Okay.
lost the rage in case that was unclear what
Oh,
that
no.
response was for. Welcome, Raiders.
Oh,
Just
no.
time for me to lose
What a hair's
my damn
leap.
rage.
It'd be so funny if it was like the ET moonlit background, but it's a werewolf that just shifts back into a person and then falls.
Yeah.
belly flop on the ground.
I'm sorry, that's not funny, but it's really funny.
Well, because I think I don't get to do the.
I don't think you do get to
No,
do it.
no.
Yeah.
He starts to leap up, turn into a human. And face plant.
It's a distraction.
And that's the distraction.
Damn it.
So basically, it's just shifting. It doesn't mean you can't do stuff. It just means you can't shift into the form because you're out of rage. But you could do. I mean, you could still do something as you try to shift into your form.
So I was
Little toot comes out
near
instead.
one of those like light post thingies.
Okay.
Like I'm kind of envisioning the ones that are like they have like wheels at the bottom because they like got wheeled into
Sounds right to
place
me. Sure.
of where they
Yeah.
are. So I was gonna like jump up on it, and now I'm just like wheeling it in a circle so that it like sends the light going out instead of going in.
Here's what I'll say. Give us I think you're plenty strong enough to knock it. Like you can knock it over. You could wheel it out of the way. Whatever. Are you doing one? I'm assuming you're doing one that's relatively close to where like this whole camp is set up that Eustace is trying to dart through, but not so close as to immediately be shot.
Yeah.
So why not give us like a stealth test or something to try to do this without just sort of being immediately detected.
Stealth Dex.
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay. Frick. One.
One success is all right, but I mean, could spend some willpower. Get some
I'll
more.
re-roll the other 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did it wrong. I spent the willpower before I remembered that the button,
I'll
sheet
add it
does it.
back. All right, 2
2
successes.
successes.
Okay. So, what I'll say then is you try to shift, but something, whatever it is, like maybe frustration overtakes you. Maybe like Eustace is running in, you hear the gunfire, or like going off somewhere else. Like all of this is just becoming really frustrating. But you are able, I'll say, to kind of wheel it, and in doing so, it bumps into like a rock. You find a rock, you just jam it into, and it starts to teeter over, and it crashes to the ground. And you can see the bulbs and stuff shatter, and you can hear somebody like, "What was that?" And you hear boots as they're starting to rush over in your direction, and you try to kind of stealth away. Hey, who are you? What? You guys see someone? And like they're just kind of doing this. They think they saw someone, but they're not entirely sure. And so Eustace, we'll say that'll give you. I'll say she had 2 successes. Take +2.
Okay.
And just go ahead and roll, and then describe what it is that you're doing. Because it's still.
I mean,
trying to
honestly,
visualize this.
I shift slightly. I've got my pack. I'll kind of bite on like one of the tethers of it so I can carry it with me whenever I go in.
Okay.
And I'm just waiting for that moment where they just look away even for a second to try and dart in. And hopefully just the confusion of the moment will be enough to get in there before they can shoot. And honestly, I don't think that they would want to chase me in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be one of those things, if I can just like shock them enough to be like, what the hell's going on? Well, that was messed up. And if I can just get in, I don't think they'll chase me.
Okay. So you want to just make this a speed thing, like a speed roll, as opposed to a stealth?
Either way.
Athletics,
sure what
dex,
skill that would
maybe?
be.
Athletics, dex, I would think.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Let's do it. Sure.
Stealth would have been better for me.
It's all good.
Okay.
Everything's going to be fine.
Okay. And
Yeah,
then
I don't know about
We
that.
have
and
replacement
one for
characters
her.
back at Kipser.
Splitting the party has always gone so well.
I kind of did it to you this time.
That was pretty good.
3's
3
not
is
bad.
totally fine. Let me see how well they do. They don't do well enough. I'll say this: you hear shouts. You hear a couple shots go off, but then you hear, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Don't shoot!" Like, jeez. And then you don't hear anything as the gunfire stops. You race past all these tethers, and you just rush into the darkness of a very benign looking suburban neighborhood.
Okay,
So
I'll
my
start
question-
working on my next character real quick.
Yeah. So the last thing we see
Am I
of
the only one
Eustace
with an upper senses?
is his fluffy tail as it disappears and gets swallowed up by the darkness, the same darkness that swallows up the end of the tethers. And we'll check back in with Eustace in a minute. Okay, so let's cut then back to the other group. As Jacques, you have on your turn, you had shifted and you were basically charging in. And I'm going to say that this is happening probably on the same turn in which they've already fired at you. This all happens so pretty fast. So if you want to come in and get a shot, go ahead and take a swing at them before they fire again.
Okay. I'm going to do a free rage check real quick to see if I can heal 1 point of superficial health damage.
We'll say that you close the distance last turn, and so now you're starting basically up melee in range. Is how we'll describe it. Okay.
So my razor claws come in to disembowel.
Okay. So question for you, because we did this wrong way back when. Are you trying to attack both of them, or are you just trying to attack one?
I'm just going to attack one.
Okay.
And
Okay.
shock
'Cause
and
if
awe, assuming that the rest of my pack is probably right behind me because
Of course.
we're
Why wouldn't they be?
werewolves.
There's not helicopters to sabotage, and very complicated.
he's just
diplomatic
assuming,
house to do. Yeah.
Pack's getting shot at. The pack is going to rush in and deal with that shit. But
Boy, I
he
tell
might be
ya,
wrong. I mean, it's possible.
I think Hector is going to win over Jacques. I think that's what's about to happen. Yeah, go ahead and give it a roll. Let's see what I got for their stats. So if you're attacking 1, I will do.
What the hell was that roll? Holy
Finally, I
oh
got
my
a good roll.
Okay.
All but
I
one
only have-
dice.
I only have 3 successes. So you have 10. Describe how you kill him. Actually, wait,
it's
no,
plus-
they have armor. What's the plus? What's the total? So just give me total damage. The difference is 7 plus whatever it is you got.
So if the difference is 7, the total is 10.
Okay, total is 10. Let me check their armor. They do have armor, but not. Geez, not that much. They do not have that much. So Jacques, describe how you utterly obliterate this guy. Yeah.
So yeah, he lunges in this giant direwolf form, and he barrels this guy down and clamps his jaws around its throat while his back claws rip its guts out, and then he just bites his head off. And then shakes it off, spits it at the other guy, and looks at him growling.
Okay. So these guys are familiar, obviously, with the concept of werewolves and supernatural stuff. So nonetheless, so like certain things, so it's not going to necessarily take him, like the delirium isn't going to necessarily take over. However, I'm going to roll to see if he shits his pants and runs away. I will say,
Understanding and seeing are two different things.
I think he's going to start backing away, but he's not going to run away. So he's like basically backing away, firing, shouting like, we got wolves, and he's firing as he's slowly backing away and firing as he goes. Okay. So go ahead again. Give me another one of those dodge rolls, that athletics dex, as he is at a distance. Let's see if you can keep out of harm's way as these bullets fly. Okay. I had 4 successes. You had 4 successes. There's no difference. So you are like, the ground is exploding around you. A boulder right next to you just erupts as it kind of gets torn apart. But you're just darting left and right, blood dripping from your mouth. Maybe at one point you slide behind the collapsing body of his friends. A few bullets go into that one too. And by the time he's literally emptied his clip or whatever, you're without taking damage, and he is still slowly backing up. But he didn't straight up run away, so he's still within range of you to do something. Duke, what do you want to do? I'm going to say that Jacques ripped the head off the one that was about to shoot you as he had turned, and maybe that momentary turn allowed Jacques to kind of close the distance even more easily. Duke, what do you want to do?
Yeah, I guess Duke will move closer to this last guy that's panicking, and he'll shift into the human form. And he'll be like, you know what I learned today? I have Riz. And then he's going to use stare down. And it automatically succeeds because he's a mundane human. So he just like freezes. And then I'll tell Jacques
he's not a mundane. Mundane is meaning like they have no knowledge of the supernatural.
Okay, then we can roll.
So yeah, you still have to roll. You're probably going to be okay though. But give the roll. All right, no crit. So it's just...
Why did I only roll? Oh, that's for the rage check. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
You're
why.
good at rage.
Roll. Yeah.
I learned I have Riz. The guy's like, wait, hey, what's Riz?
I'm very sorry.
One
Like to
second.
apologize in
It's
this
like, I know
moment.
what drip is. Like, I mean, take a look at it. That's pretty good, right? But haven't heard that before. Oh God, 5. Yeah, you're fine. 5 successes is more than enough. As he turns in your direction, he watches you shift out of one form into the human form, and then you say the most inexplicable nonsense and his face just contorts into the epitome of confusion, and he kind of just sort of sways a bit like he's a boxer getting ready to get knocked out. Lou, are you just gonna, we'll say you're continuing to just go through. Is there anything in particular you're doing besides that?
Yes. So can I have a gift running at the same time as a rite, or only one?
I think you're fine with both. I don't think there's a difference between the two.
Okay, because I know I can
I don't
probably
think they conflict.
Then I would like to switch into the Glabro form. So I will check with a rage dice.
One thing I will say is, if you're going to go into rites are technically, they're not like instants the way like a gift is. Like rite is technically something that should take a few minutes.
The rite is the Forgotten Record one, which is running right now already.
Okay.
Yeah. So the gift that I was going to start was Penumbra Senses or Gremlins. I think I will start doing the Gremlins actually.
Okay.
And we'll see what we can disable.
Okay.
Here is the, yeah.
Ooh. I love it.
Oh, I accidentally just hit the garbage can instead of the roll. So I'm going to.
Now you got to find it again.
One of the helicopters explodes.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yep.
Okay. While you're fixing, it was going to take you a minute. Let's cut back over then to Eustace and Selena. Selena, you're being hunted now. Now they don't have an immediate beat on you, but they know your general whereabouts, but not to the point where they can fire at you. But you can hear crunch, crunch, crunch. Be like, someone's like, come out, wherever you are. Kind of does like the De Niro thing and whatever. But they can't see you, and they occasionally go like over there, and they fire, and it's like, you freaking idiot! It's a cactus. What the hell's wrong with you? And then like over there, like what the fuck, man? That's a goddamn boulder. What's wrong with you? Like I saw something. As they're like going back and forth, and they continue to sort of weave around. These shit doesn't fall on its own, man. There's fucking gunfire everywhere. Someone just yelled wolves, for Christ's sake. So Selena, with that in mind, with the fact that you're being hunted, and you hear voices, you're by yourself now. You are separated from the rest of your pack. What would you like to do?
Yes, because Selena lost the wolf, she is going to stealthily zigzag serpentine towards Duke, because Duke can get the wolf back.
Okay, so you're gonna try to stealth away stealth serpentine. Is that what you said? Did I understand that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Give it a roll. Sure.
Stealth is not my best. That's 3 successes.
Yeah.
3 is enough, honestly. As you are able, like you hear the crunching as maybe you start moving further away from the lights, further away from the development, kind of out into the desert towards that ridge of like those red mountains up to the north. You start moving off in that direction a bit. And you hear them still crunching away, but they're not near you. And more their voices, their occasional shot, like more and more that becomes further away. And you feel yourself, at this point, you're well away from the development and you're kind of off on your own. But no one's around you. You're in the clear. You're kind of in safety. But it does mean you're kind of out of the immediate ability to affect what's going on.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that wherever the gunshots were is probably where Jacques and Duke and Lou were. So she's going to be like getting away from the current danger and then moving that way to try to find Duke.
We could say, it'll probably take you like a full turn or so to sort of circumvent around, especially since you're inhuman and you're not able to shift over into kind of a faster form. Okay, Eustace, we're going to kick over to you. Eustace, you are in a darkened suburban neighborhood. You can see that there are about 5 or 6 different models of homes, but none of which seems particularly out of the ordinary. It all looks very, very normal, except for the fact that there is next to no light other than this, now that you look back, a very almost frosted, vague light coming from those floodlights, meaning like it's like light coming through like a frosted window. It just looks different. You almost feel yourself kind of being tugged on in a way that when you first were traveling throughout the Umbra, like, you know that you really have to focus. It's too easy for your body to kind of deteriorate. And, whenever you're kind of traveling, it has that same kind of feel to it, but you didn't pass through the gauntlet. You're not fully in the Umbra, but you can feel that same kind of effect, like something's tugging and pulling away at you. I'll say that you have the option here if you want to continue to follow those tethers, or if you want to do something else. It very much spreads out like you would any neighborhood you would expect to find. It's not perfectly grid, but there's like side streets, there's driveways, there's homes. All of that kind of looks the same. So as you're staring at this sort of increasingly darkening development, what do you do?
All right. So it feels weird to say this, but I feel like this is a situation where I'm going to let myself go back to the Hamid form, right? Just going to keep myself calm. Going to take that shark tooth necklace, put it on. Get the knife out, put it in hand, carve me a little symbol to help me notice if I come back around this way, something that it's not even so much that I'm actually marking an area, but by me exerting my will of memory, like some little bit of my ego will stay impressed here using that knife. And then just going to get into that weird herky-jerky spiritual mumbo-jumbo where I'm going to just try and start looking for any signs of where our fellow packmates might have been. And part of how I'm going to do that is I'm going to take out the record and God, I don't even know what her music of choice is.
Annie Lennox.
Wow. Okay. But Eustace is going to do his best to kind of tap a rhythm on the record with the knife while wearing the necklace to kind of have all three things in a synergy. And he does have performance, actually. So he's going to do his best to hum and sing along one of the songs that he does know off that record and kind of try to create some sort of spiritual synergy to see if he can, while he's hunting along for them, see if something sparks.
I love this. We'll go performance resolve.
Okay.
Give that a roll. While you're doing that, let me check back on Lou. Lou, how did you do with your roll? Did you get it all situated?
Yes, so I did successful rage dice check as a gremlin. So Lou kind of like bends down to the ground and just shadow appears in a pool, and she'll dip her fingers in and start pulling out these little creatures with maybe 6 arms on either side, little furry heads and a little big butt, somewhere between a mix of a spider and a gremlin from the movie. And I will go, it's time for you to have fun. And I got 4 successes, which is computers, electronics, and engines.
Oh my.
So I did very well.
That's excellent. Yeah. And
I unfortunately, if I had 5, I would have gotten guns, but I only got 4.
Okay.
So
well, they have all of those things. And so your
now they don't work
spread
very well.
Yeah. And so they're
just like a swarm starts to.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Wonderful. Okay, so those helicopters are going nowhere anytime soon. Eustace, how did you do on your performance plus resolve?
I got a whopping 2.
2. Okay.
After spending willpower.
As you start kind of singing, like, no more I love yous, like you're just kind of singing it out.
Language
you're like
is
listening
me now. Yeah.
You're listening. And then you actually do hear something. Maybe as a response, maybe not, but you hear a ding, 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 like this ringing of a bell. It doesn't sound like they're trying to make music along with you necessarily. It doesn't sound like it's along the same like melody or harmonizing with you. But it certainly sounds like a bell. And now that you mentioned it, this is actually the first time since you've crossed over into this development that you actually remember hearing anything. Because very quickly, you remember the sound of them shouting and such just dropped away completely. And this is the first time you've heard something. And you can sort of triangulate it. It's probably down this one very small side path. You can see like there's a cul-de-sac, and somewhere in this darkened cul-de-sac you can barely see the contours. You just hear, it almost sounds like a dinner bell, like ding, 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 and it's just going over and over and over and over again.
Nice. I'll go in that direction, and just kind of like using the chalk in a labyrinth. I'm just going to use the knife to just kind of like leave a little path that I can follow back.
Okay. Okay. The closer that you get, like you're leaving, your various carvings and such that sort of give you your path. The closer you're getting, the more and more you're hearing not just the bell, but now you're starting to hear voices. It's chanting, maybe. Like this, it does actually sound harmonized at a certain point, and it's like every time the bell rings, like there's this slow motion of the sound, like, and then the chants start to do the same thing. It's like the music is just sort of bending and bending as you sort of step into the middle of this cul-de-sac. You look around, and you can see almost like all four of the homes that are surrounding this cul-de-sac are kind of undulating here. Give us a stamina composure, and we're going to cut back to Jacques and Duke, who have a target who is just sort of swaying there. You do know that you've been making a lot of noise, gunfire, etc. So there's no one immediately on you, but they have guns, so they can fire. What do you guys want to do?
8.
Dear God.
Wow.
We'll come back to that in a sec. Oh my
We
God.
are
a crit
rolling
too.
well today.
You guys are. So Jacques, Duke, you guys, this guy's dead to rights if you want it. What do you two do?
I think Jacques would just pad up to him, then, kind of just lurch up like a big dog does and put his paws on either side of this guy's shoulders, and then just take the faceplate of his skull in his jaws and bite it off.
Okay.
Then
so
spit it
the
out.
mouth opens. You just rip it and just spit it out. And for like a couple extra seconds, he just still kind of just stands there swaying. And then there's a delayed collapse to the ground. You do hear the sounds of voices. And they're like, call out. And you also hear like the sounds of them trying to communicate on the radio as well. Like, report. What the fuck was the gunfire? And like you can tell there's a little bit.
No,
of
those
panic.
radios don't work. Mm-mm.
Those radios everywhere, or just the radios in your helicopters?
5-meter radius.
5-meter radius. I tell you what, you rolled so freaking well. I'm going to say those radios. This is close enough. Absolutely. So you just hear nothing's coming through, like whatever it is. Okay, but you do hear the sounds of people closing in on you. Duke, what do you do?
Duke will. I guess would Duke see Selena coming or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
I would say she probably wouldn't get there yet.
We're going to take at least another turn to get to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess Duke will kind of usher Jacques, and we'll look for like a location maybe we can hide or like wait for someone to come check on the bodies and then kind of pounce at them.
Okay. You can give us, a stealth is fine. You can give me a survival as well if you're just kind of looking for like an ambush point or something like that. Like we could just do that as well.
What about subterfuge?
Sure. Why not?
What do you want that
I'll
with?
take it. Wits, I think usually in the moment. I like that.
Okay. Hey,
3 successes. That's very good. It's essentially it's going to be when they're looking, it's contested against what would effectively be their awareness test. They don't necessarily have awareness, but I have a number for them, and we'll see if they're able to hit it. Okay. So Jacques, you see Duke kind of motioning over. There's this small little hollow in the ground. There's a series of these desert rocks that are stacked up, but there's some space between them because of the non-flat sides, allowing you kind of to sort of see through. You kind of get the gist of what he's trying to do, probably.
Yeah, Jacques would sort of stealth into that area, but he wants to get enough distance between him and Duke that if somebody saw him, they're not going to get drawn towards Duke because it's his job to protect Duke. If
you would like to just roll your own separate stealth, that's fine as well. You can just roll. You can do that. And while you're doing that, Lou, we'll say the gremlin army is unleashed and they are going to town on these helicopters. What would you like to do next?
Now, I'm going to take off my doggy backpacks that I always have and look for
Say
free
doggy backpacks?
Yes, because they're ones that fits the dog. I have a dog. I know this stuff. They have everything for dogs.
Sure.
But yeah, so I'm just looking for documentation. Maybe if they're bringing helicopters in, it's probably got a lot of their kit in there. So some spare devices, maybe information, anything I can steal that might be useful.
Okay.
I would like to do a robbery, please.
I mean, I think there's no really role necessary. I would say that like you're going to have limited information from these guys. These definitely just seem like security. I would say
I am willing to leave the helicopter area and go steal things from the perimeters. As I said, we're collecting data. I'll
say this from your angle as you leave out the back of the third helicopter and you look off, we'll say to the east, you can see that there is a series. There's definitely a staging area where there's a series of there's an ad hoc camp series of tents that are up. Lots of light in that direction. A little less light now as one of them has tipped over. That probably would be the best place to go. If you're looking to steal. Okay. And I'll say just to carry it over, at least for a little bit, we'll say your turn is getting there. And when you look at this point, there are somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 or 9 people with they definitely don't have security gear on. All these people that Jacques has been fighting that Duke just sort of mesmerized. They're very much like the lockroom agents you've seen, dressed in sort of black fatigues, kind of gray camo pants, and they've got these sort of heavy, they definitely got paramilitary gear. So you know that they're equipped and what they can do. Who you're seeing mostly around this series of tents, they don't look like that. They look much more like the types of technicians and workers that you saw mostly in zombie form. When you were visiting the Echo Lab site, they look like scientists and technicians. You see there's computers, there's readings. A lot of them have tablets out. They're reading. A lot of them are peering in to what looks like an opening in the side of the development. They're going right down what looks like an auxiliary street. They have some telescopic contraption. They're literally looking through this giant telescope that's pointed directly down that street. And there's a series of these tethers that disappear into the darkness. And I'll say that's where we'll leave it off. And you can kind of think about what you want to do at that point. There's probably only maybe 2 more people left that actually have guns in that area. Everybody else looks more like a tech. Okay. Let me jump back to Eustace. Eustace, you rolled really well on your stamina, you said?
Yeah, I got a crit with a total of 8 successes.
Holy.
So well.
It's you want me to roll my 2 best stats? I'd love to do that.
Okay,
Didn't even
man.
have to use willpower to get there either.
You begin to drool. What form are you in right now? You Hamid?
Yeah.
You are drooling.
That way I can actually wear the necklace, hold the record, hold the knife.
You're still drooling as your mouth is watering. And for the briefest of moments, you see extending out in this asphalt concrete cul-de-sac, what looks like a lengthy wooden picnic table, atop of which you see an array of food. And it's beautiful. And the way it's set up too, you can see these sunflowers that are kind of helping the sort of the mise en place of it all. It looks so well set. You see people kind of beginning to suddenly form from the darkness around as there's the bells ding, 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 and there's chanting, and they begin to close in. And there's this circle of maybe 15, 20 people hand in hand, and they're all closing in they're constricting on this lengthy picnic table. And you can see that their faces are very blurry, hard to discern, but they're chanting and they're chanting and they're chanting, and then they eventually just sit down and they start eating. You feel for a moment a sharp stomach pain, but you realize that it's probably not real. And your test, very quickly you realize like it's somehow affecting your senses, but you're able to get hold of them.
Yeah, I remember that story about some lady, Greek mythology, ate just a couple seeds. Nope.
And that's what you see around you. It's like a big old outdoor like Thanksgiving table with a bunch of people dressed in very white and flowery clothing. You can see women are in like sundresses, barefoot. It's something Selena probably and Calypso and stuff would really enjoy. And you can see the men are like wearing these kind of wide brim hats and almost like farmer gear and farmer clothing as they sit down to eat.
Nobody really looks the part of any of the folks that are missing from our pack. Because we had the Californian, the ex-soldier, the musician.
Yeah.
None of them really seem to.
You do notice that there is a large, like on the center of the table, there is like almost a cartoonishly large, like silvery covering, where you would presume a very large turkey might be underneath it. And you can see that there is a man. When he stands up, he's got this wide brim hat, kind of white clothing. It's all very sort of thin and loose. And he kind of reaches out and almost Charlie Brown kind of voice. And he starts to
It's going to be them in there.
The silver covering off. And you just see this hunk of fur and meat and blood.
Okay. Well, oh, all right. Well,
yeah.
We are well past the point of, is it just or is it multiple figures in there?
Well, Eustace, you tell me how close you want to get.
Well, I intend to rescue whoever that is.
Okay.
We're beyond the point of stealth, and whoever these things are, they are so ravenously hungry, or at least that's what Eustace assumes of this, knowing the feeling that he just had.
Okay.
That his assumption is to turn into the biggest wolf he can and do the whole thing like a mama wolf will grab the baby by the scruff of the neck. He just wants to turn into a big old wolf, not Krynos, but
like Hypso,
Hispo,
or Hispo.
Hispo. Yeah.
Okay. Make your rage check.
Please don't lose rage. Please don't lose rage.
As you are shifting, and you presumably, I'm assuming you're going to be successful.
No. It's okay. I still have rage.
Good.
You watch as you shift, and you're getting closer, and you're beginning to kind of flex your size a bit. You just see something fall from the sky and just drop right in front of you. Like literally, you feel the wind as it hits your face. And when you look down, you see a werewolf skin.
Oh.
Go ahead and roll composure. Go ahead. And
Oh my god, I cannot believe.
Resolve.
Composure and resolve.
Composure plus resolve. Difficulty of 4.
Okay. My goal is still going to be to move towards the one that I assume is still living on the plate. That's my goal. But, oh god. 3.
Can re-roll?
Willpower.
I will willpower to roll 3 of those.
Difficulty of 4. The 4 is difficulty.
So I just need 1 success on 3 dice.
Yeah.
I think I got a 9 and 10
you got
in
a
there.
crit success, actually.
Yeah.
Because you
Okay.
got 2 10s.
Okay.
You got a ton
this
of
creeps
successes.
me out super bad, but I think there's at least
successes now.
Okay, so I'll tell you this. First of all, you absolutely 100% recognize this pelt. It is the fur of Rosie. You can see the coloring. Completely and utterly skinned. It's messy and gross. And as you step a couple feet closer, you can see the skinned carcass of a wolf. When I say wolf, I do mean like Hispo form, similar to you. and they are lying there in underneath this little silver platter. But I will say they are moving. They are shifting.
Okay. Well, if my crit is enough to give me the resolve to save the skin of my friend, because I would bring it back, sling it over my shoulder, so to speak. But if I think there's any chance that other one there is still got some semblance of life to him, I'm gonna grab him and start trucking back.
Okay. So you grab them. I'll say you throw the pelt around you, and you grab this carcass of a wolf, and you start dragging it away. We'll come back to you later. Let's check back in with Jacques and Duke really fast here. As you guys, one of you is stealthing away. Jacques, did I get your stealth on that? What your number is?
Oh, yeah, I got 3 successes and a brutal outcome because it's me, and apparently I get brutals every time I roll tonight. So
I'll say you're still success. I mean, it's still successful. The issue is just that, like for me, I've been treating it as like instinctively a growl just comes out every now and then. Like you just can't help yourself.
Super
like
rage, the absolute hatred is.
And so you can see, Duke, you can see this, Jacques, you can see this. They're coming up. They have again, there's 2 more. They're coming up. They got their guns up. They're looking, and they're looking, and they're looking. And I'll tell you this, both of you with 3 was enough. They only had a 2, and they don't see you. And like they're slowly moving up. They're like, oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? And then they go to get on the radio, and they're like, hey, we got, and then it immediately gives this terrible feedback. Ah, fucking God. And they rip it off their vest, and they throw it to the ground as it still continues this palpably painful feedback that just kind of reaches into their ears. And that's when like maybe Jacques, that's like your growl comes out, and they're like, huh? And they turn around, and they just sort of like hip one of them. Actually, we'll say both of them kind of hip fire off in your direction. Go ahead, and I'll say do your athletics dex again to see if you can dodge out of the way. I'm gonna give them a penalty considering the situation, though. And let's see what we got. That's a terrible roll. Oh, that's way better. Okay. All right.
I got 3 successes and a brutal. Now I don't know if the brutal is good in this situation or not.
In this situation, I think you're okay. You manage with the first one to dodge out of the way. They just start blindly firing like reaction in the direction of this growl. And you are quick enough to move and dart across. I will say, since your intentions were to keep it away from Duke, you run maybe away from Duke so there's not any spray back in his direction. But the second one does actually get you, and it's going to be 4 superficial damage again, as they do manage to kind of clip you as you're going past. The second one I did roll really well. Now, Duke, you're in the area. Jacques, you're in the area. Both of you, they just shot. They're at range. They got to go first. What do you guys do?
As a minor action, Jacques goes Krynos. He's tired of getting shot.
Fair. That's fair.
And he does okay.
Okay.
And then he lunges out to wholly murder the guy that just shot him.
Okay. Again, same question. Do you just want to go for one, or do you want to hit both at the same time? Because you can target multiple opponents at once. I'll say they're close enough. Works. So you basically split your dice pool. So let's say you have 10 dice, hypothetically. You say, 5 of my dice are going to go toward this guy, 5 are going to go towards that guy.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do it.
Okay, and you don't have to. It doesn't have to be like equally split. You can decide how many goes to each. Okay. Like you can split it up. So just say,
roll it in advance and then split it, or.
I think you do need to. I think they're technically separate rolls. So, but you can roll them all together. And we can just say the first number is for that.
Okay, it's going to be it's 12 dice, so I'll do 6 and 6. How's that?
Okay, so we'll say like the first. You have. I imagine you have a couple of rage dice. Yeah, first 6 and second.
Yeah. First 6 and second 6.
Well, actually, wait. That's not going to work out that way.
No, because of the rage.
Yeah,
I'll
and
just
plus-
I'll just go after one. I'll just go after
Okay.
one, and I'll let Duke get the other one.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we'll have to figure out how to do that in Foundry.
Good luck with that, Eric.
Here Duke comes.
Yeah, there goes Duke.
And I'll spend a point of willpower to reroll 3.
Okay.
So the way that worked out, the first person got all of the bad
what?
stuff, and the second person might be okay.
Oh, that sucked. 7 successes.
Okay. A difference of 3. You succeed
So-
with a difference of 3.
So 4 plus 4, 8 points of damage.
Okay.
I think
that
that's just
actually-
what Foundry does. Foundry just puts the successes first and the non-successes
That's what I was gonna.
after.
That's
so-
what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. It's like it's not gonna work that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm sorry. Would you say 6 total? What was the total? Or 8?
7. 8.
7. 8. Okay.
Well, no, actually, that's wrong because I forgot I've got my razor claw, so that's 6 and 4, 10.
All right. 10 is actually enough to kill him. So go ahead and describe how you slaughter this one too.
So as in Krynos form now, he lunges forward and he just spears both of his claws through this guy's stomach, grabs his spine, and pushes his body away as he pulls his spine out.
You basically predator him.
Yep.
For a moment, the body again just sort of like hovers and then just falls flat as you have the spine and like a partially decapitated head just kind of hanging in the spine, which kind of goes a little limp, and you're just holding it there. And I'm gonna again, delirium doesn't apply, but this guy just saw his friend have his spine literally ripped out. Yeah, he's gonna run. And he's gonna turn as if he's gonna run back to those tents. But Duke, you get to go first before he actually starts.
Yeah, Duke is not trying to kill anybody. Duke is trying to go.
Your hands are totally clean.
Yeah. Duke doesn't kill anybody. He's gonna try to go look for like either like a megaphone or if they have some sort of like speaker system that is working.
I've got bad news for you.
Okay, 10 meters is not that far. This place is probably
15?
massive.
Was it 10 meters or was
I think it was
5
5
meters.
It's 5
Oh,
meters.
yeah.
It's
5
not actually a
meters.
very big
So-
radius.
well, yeah. Once you get over to the tents, yeah, everything's working fine.
Yeah, so Duke's looking for something like that so he can try to make a outreach to all the individuals left.
Okay. Sure. Give me. Oh God. Wits. We'll say investigation. See if you can find something like that. You're looking for any signs of anything that might be an intercom, a speaker, anything like that. One of those old fat. What are those things that you hold above your
Megaphone?
Megaphone.
Megaphone.
Something like that.
I'm not even gonna re-roll it.
Okay. That was a fail.
Oh.
You don't notice anything, but I will say as you get closer to the tents now, you see Lou, and now you see coming out from the shadows to the north, you see Selena now approaching. And so I'll say Selena, Duke, Lou, you're all within sort of visual sight of each other. But you don't notice anything. They all seem to have like either walkie-talkies, like you can tell that the tech guys, you know, the people, they have like a walkie-talkie like on their belt, and then you can see the security folk have something kind of on their, you know, on their chest. So Lou and Selena, then the two of you are here. All of you can kind of see each other at this point. You can see that again. There's about 8 or so technicians. There's like maybe 2 security people left. Duke, you know that there is one other that Jacques is probably going to destroy and obliterate in a second. So what would Selena and Lou do in this situation?
Lou is going to kind of look to her side, and maybe there's a little natural species for a lizard there. And she's going to go, "Hello, little friend. I need to borrow some abilities for a little bit." And for a moment, you can kind of see superimposed a larger spirit on it. And she's going to activate Dropping gremlins, but everything is destroyed back there anyway. Blur of the Milky Eye for the very first time, which is a new ability I have gotten. That is, the werewolf form becomes shimmering, indistinct blur, as though seen through 6 mist or skewered lens, even in broad daylight. And I am going to sneak my way into a tent full of people, kind of just Cavalier-esque, because it's a terrible idea, and it's time to loot the science guys.
There are definitely shadows and nooks and crannies, and you can tell many of them are kind of huddled around various devices. A few of them on this strange, like, telescopic device. Others that seem to be around, looks like consoles that are outputting data. There are these flap open tents that looks to just have supplies and such inside, or maybe you can see generators and things as well. I do think there's plenty of places to sort of kind of tuck in. As long as you're not trying to pickpocket them, I think you can probably move pretty easily without too much of a like a roll or anything.
Just want to listen to their conversations and take things off their desk.
Okay. You notice there's a giant clock, which we'll say is at this point down to like 45 minutes. It's really actually only, this whole last hour has been like about 10 minute, 15 minute kind of, real time in game. Okay. So if you're just listening to what they're saying
and taking the papers and the compute stuff, maybe not the computers, but a little cell phone on the side here and there, a little paper here and there.
I'll tell you that.
Just imagine you picking up a whole computer. Just
it's mine now. It's mine now.
What is that? I don't know. It's some weird milky thing, but why is the computer flying in the air?
Oh, that giant telescope you are looking at right now, I'm going to take this. If I can put it in my backpack, it's mine.
The general conversation seems to be they are monitoring what seems to be an advanced team that is pushing further and further. And they're sort of referencing various layers, and like they're kind of trying to get to like a nucleus or a core, and like they've kind of passed by this, passed by that. You can see that on one large screen, not a tablet, but like literally a large display screen. There is something that looks like almost like an X-ray, and you can see this massive shape, not unlike what you all saw in the Umbra. It looks very much the same, but you can see it's almost sort of been like the whatever they're scanning with is kind of piercing through some of that outer membrane, and you're seeing like layers and layers of it.
I will take the pictures of the screen.
Sure. Okay. And then Selena, what are you doing?
Selena is going to stealth her way over to Duke.
Okay.
And she looks sort of like sheepish human. Is sort of like like she's kind of letting that she's like lost the rage, kind of like it's just kind of like head down. And if it looks safe enough, she'll just kind of like whisper in Duke's ear that Eustace went inside.
Yeah, that's fine. You're close enough to each other that you can whisper and all that kind of stuff. I'm fine with that. Duke, how you feeling about that news?
Well, I guess we'll wait for him to come back out.
Okay.
I'll handle your predicament in a moment.
Okay. Let's go back inside then. Eustace, you've got this pelt on your back. You have, with your teeth, you are dragging this skinned hispo form werewolf carcass that is kind of squirming, and you hear a little bit as you're moving. You can tell they're alive, actually. And you're tracking, you're going back the way you came, and you're tracking the little bits. As you follow those marks and you expect the road to curve back out towards that main stem on which all those tethers should be, you notice that is not, in fact, where the road seems to go, as your road, with the very carved marks that you put, weaves off and kind of goes down this other street. And you just find yourself
Okay.
Every which way you see the it's like you didn't make these many markings, but they're markings and markings and markings.
Time to switch tactics. This thing has its own logic, but it's got an intrusion. It's got a worm coming in, right? So I need to look for what isn't fitting its pattern. You know, the way a tree will kind of grow and evolve around something. That's kind of what this thing does, just at a time span. Doesn't really work the way it does in our regular world, but then some bitches outside are shoving something in. So I need to look where things aren't following this pattern and kind of do like a counterculture sort of thing and go that way.
That sounds
Go to the cancer.
That sounds wonderful. Give me a wisdom plus. Oh yeah, I want wisdom plus your awareness. We'll say.
Okay. I'll pick awareness and I'll pick a stat that's equivalent to that.
That sounds good.
Okay, and 5.
Wow.
Oh my
Excellent.
gosh. Every single dice rolled was a success.
I
He
don't
is a
want to
big
be
damn
in
hero.
here.
Big
I
damn
hate
hero.
this so
Okay.
much.
Well, I have good news and bad news for you. The good news is that you certainly sound like you certainly hear. Excuse me. Let me reset that. You start venturing off in a way that breaks the pattern, and so one of the things you notice as you are traveling down this road, and again, there's about 5 or 6 different models of homes, very slight variations between them. All of them like desert landscaping. You don't see any grass or anything like that. So it's all kind of got that xeriscape look. One thing catches your eye and you almost pass it, is that you look over and you notice that instead of there being a driveway into a garage, you see a driveway that goes into a carport. This is the first carport you've seen. It's a fairly high-end, distant sort of neighborhood. And seeing a carport is like it's there. And when you look up and kind of up this very slight gradient, this incline into the carport, it's just like a black hole. It's just pure black. Again, there's very faint light everywhere. In your form, I'm imagining you guys can see a little bit better. There's actual gifts that let you do this right, but you can kind of see a little bit. But you can't see. It's like this opaque blackness. But you can hear a sound coming from it. You hear tink, 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 like the sound of metal hitting metal.
Well, I don't relish this decision, but I choose to go towards that because
Okay. So you dragging the body with you, or do you leave the body behind?
No, because I mean the spirit world's funny. I'm not about to drop it and then not be able to find it again.
You climb up the incline, and you're right now on the cusp of this carport. And again, it's like this opaque blackness. You hear the tink, 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 and you still can't see anything this close. But you plunge in, and you are in utter darkness. You can hear tink, 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 and then you hear bzz, 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 like the sound of an old-fashioned like television staticky turn on. And you look behind you, and you can see sitting on like this old-fashioned like mid-century modern TV stand in the middle of the driveway that you just climbed up, staring back at you. The screen turns on, and you can see what looks like a blacksmith hammer tinking on some kind of tool that they're making. Tink, tink, tink. And you hear the sound of like a Discovery Channel narrator, like a David Attenborough voice kind of pops on, and you just hear like, "They sought wealth beneath the earth, but found only shadows." And I think we're going to end on that for tonight, because I like the face that I'm getting from Jeremy right there.
What?
Uh-oh.
Dude, there's a different encounter in here that I cannot
think you
wait
are-
to spring on you.
Hella lost.
Oh my
I cannot
god.
wait to spring this other one on Jeremy.
I had
Oh,
good
Talk-
intentions.
Talk about super splitting the party.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was I was everywhere on that one. Yeah, you guys were all over the place.
Oh, boy.
So we've got Eustace inside dragging the body and perhaps the pelt of a werewolf. We've got Duke, Lou, and Selena who have rejoined each other. Lou is messing around with some equipment, but Selena and Duke are right there. And Jacques, you're in Krino's form, about to literally slaughter a second one of these without probably much difficulty as they run away. So that's where we're at. That's where we'll end on, and we'll kind of pick it up from there. Stop it, music, go off. Okay. So yeah, there we go. Why don't we do some closing plugs, and we'll get on out of here. Jeremy, we're gonna start with you because you have a confused look on your face. Dude, seriously, there is another encounter. I can't wait. If it triggers, it's so.
Then
stupid.
I can't wait.
Sometimes when I write stuff down, I'm like, what's wrong with you? This is dumb. This is so dumb. Jeremy, tell us about this Patreon.
Yeah, Aaron Reese on Patreon. If you got comics, maps, tokens, fun stuff, check it out.
Perfect. Excellent. Let's kick it over to Aaron. Aaron, what is going on over on Garblag Games?
So on Garblag, next week, I think everything should be back to normal. People are healthy again. The holidays are over. So Millie should be back on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with some Coriolis. Fingers crossed. I will be back on Wednesday in the narrator's seat with some more Marvel Multiverse Cataclysm of Kang while we finish off the Friendly Neighborhood. And then on Thursday, Pete will be back continuing his run of heroic deeds and the Red Hand of Doom.
Fantastic. And you're also going to be running our next game. So here on this channel, tomorrow night's our next games. Aaron, you want to tell us about it?
Fantastic. So yeah, join us tomorrow night, same time, and we're going to be returning to Cubicle 7's Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory. We're running through the Litanies of Lost and the Vow of Silence adventure. Our intrepid team of troubleshooters were on a mission to recover the thigh bone of Saint Hephaestium and also root out some traitors at a monastery. But things went awry as they got attacked by a party of orcs. So join us tomorrow to see if Ashley lives.
Personally, I was very happy with the outcome.
Orcs are a lot of fun in 40k. And you totally blew.
I was very excited to do that. I was so
was
like,
very
when I
cool.
first started to go inside, I'm like, wait,
That was
I
perfect.
want to blow up the roof first.
That worked so beautifully.
It was fun.
So beautifully.
All right, and then what else do we have after that? Saturday will be the next game after that. We'll be playing some Call of Cthulhu, continuing our Eternal Lies campaign. We are starting up a new location. We're doing Los Angeles, 1936. Very fun time. Monday, we'll be back to Fragged Empire. You can see top row in that game. Sci-fi weirdness. It's not as dark as Warhammer 40k, but it's space and it's weird and there are aliens. And then Tuesday, you can see a bunch of us here as we get back to Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, as we're going to be doing some X-Men schools out, and maybe we leave Mojo World, or maybe we just hang out. Maybe we just hang out. I kind of like it.
Here forever.
I thought it was fun. So I think if we all come together, you can't say no, right? You can't say.
Yeah.
And then obviously next Thursday, we'll be back with more werewolf, and we'll see just what the hell else is inside this thing that Eustace has climbed inside. We're going to go ahead and pay for the raids. Thank you to Toyzilla Network. Thank you to Ins and Oddities. And thank you to Valdranth belatedly for the raids. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't checked out their channels, go do so. We are going to raid Insomnia Night RPG because every time I raid them, something weird happens. And that's funny. So have a good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all later.
Good night.